This is not just another royal gossip story. This is about power, protocol, and permanence. This is about how one of the world's oldest institutions chose to quietly erase two children from its official history. Stay with us until the very end, because what we're about to reveal will shock you. Before we begin, if you want to stay updated on the real stories behind the royal family, make sure you're subscribed to Royal Daily Report. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, so you never miss our investigative reports into the truth behind the crown. Now, let's get started. For years, Buckingham Palace acted like it didn't hear a single thing. The complaints, the interviews, the public statements, none of it seemed to matter. The palace stayed silent. And now, suddenly, everything has changed. Word from inside the palace claimed that official papers had finally been prepared. Let me be clear about what this means. These were not draft notes. These were not warnings. These were not "we'll decide later" documents. These were final orders. Final means permanent. Final means no going back. Final means the decision has been made, written down, and locked in. These orders would permanently change the future of two children who never asked to be part of this fight. Archie and Lilibet. Think about that for a moment. These are just kids. They didn't choose their parents. They didn't choose to be born into this complicated situation. But their entire future has been decided by people in offices thousands of miles away. According to those familiar with the process end, these are people who work inside the palace system. People who see the documents before the public ever hears about them. The message inside those papers was brutally simple. Let me repeat that word, brutal. Not kind, not gentle, brutal. Their claim to royal identity is gone. Not delayed, not under review, gone. Completely removed, erased. When I say royal identity, I mean everything that makes someone officially recognized as part of the royal family. The titles, the positions, the legal recognition, all of it. And the moment those words were written, the silence of the palace finally made sense. You see, they weren't ignoring anything. They were waiting, calm, patient, and absolutely certain that the rulebook would speak louder than anything Meghan and Harry said publicly. The palace knew that no matter how many interviews Harry and Meghan gave, no matter how many documentaries they made, no matter how much public sympathy they gained, the old rules would win. Because in the monarchy, the rules are everything. If you're finding this information shocking and want to learn more about what really happens behind palace doors, don't forget to subscribe to Royal Daily Report. We bring you the investigations that mainstream media won't touch. Click that subscribe button now. But to understand why the monarchy made such a cold, final decision, we have to open a very old book. This is a book written long before Meghan, Harry, or their children were ever imagined. A rule book that has controlled the royal bloodline for more than 100 years. Let me take you back in time. The year was 1917. To understand why this year matters, you need to know what was happening in the world. The world was at war. World War I, one of the deadliest conflicts in human history. Empires were collapsing all around Europe. The Russian royal family would soon be executed. The German monarchy would fall. Royal families were being overthrown, attacked, and destroyed. The British monarchy was desperately trying to protect itself, but not just from war. They were trying to protect themselves from confusion, from imposters, and from political threats. Imagine living in a time when anyone could potentially claim to be royal. When records were unclear and people could lie about their heritage, the monarchy needed to fix this problem. So, King George V did something no monarch had done before. He wrote down in official legal language exactly who could be called a prince or princess. Not as a story, not as tradition, as law. Legal law that would be enforced like any other law in the country. His declaration was called the Letters Patent. Now let me explain what letters patent actually means, because this is important. Letters in this case doesn't mean mail or messages. It comes from an old Latin word meaning open or public, and patent means official and legal. So letters patent is an official public legal document that comes directly from the monarch. It's one of the most powerful types of legal documents in the British system. When the king or queen issues letters patent, it becomes law immediately. No parliament vote needed. No debate, it's royal law. This particular letters patent became the backbone of royal identity for every generation that followed. Every single royal child born after 1917 has been measured against these rules. And if you don't meet these rules, you don't get to be officially royal. It's that simple and that harsh. Inside this document were 3 strict rules a royal child must meet. Let me break down each one and explain exactly why it matters. Rule 1. The child must be of legitimate royal bloodline. When we say legitimate, we're talking about legal marriage. The child must be born to parents who are legally married, and at least one parent must have official royal blood recognized by the crown. This rule exists because the monarchy wanted to make sure no one without clear royal heritage slipped into the line. Think about it this way. If anyone could claim to be royal just by saying so, the whole system would fall apart. There would be hundreds or thousands of people claiming royal titles. The monarchy would lose its special status. So this rule acts like a gate only. People with proven, documented royal blood can pass through. Rule 2. The child's birth must be formally recognized and recorded by the crown. This is absolutely crucial. The birth cannot just be announced by the parents. It cannot just be a press release. It must be formally recognized and recorded by the royal household itself. What does this mean in practice? When a royal baby is born, specific things must happen. Royal doctors must be present. Official witnesses must sign documents. The palace must issue formal announcements. Everything must be documented and recorded in official royal registries. These registries are permanent records kept by the monarchy. They go back hundreds of years. Why is this so important? Because birth certificates can be faked. Press releases can be written by anyone. But official royal records, witnessed and signed by royal officials, cannot be faked. This rule protects the integrity of the royal line. It makes sure that only births that happen according to royal protocol get recorded in royal history. Rule 3. The child must be connected to the Church of England through an official christening. This rule confuses many people, so let me explain it carefully. The British monarchy is not just a family. It's also connected to religion. The King or Queen of England is also the head of the Church of England. This has been true since King Henry VIII broke away from the Catholic Church in the 1500s. Because of this connection, being royal means being part of the Church of England. It's not optional. It's not just a nice tradition. It's considered a legal step in royal identity. When a royal baby is christened in the Church of England, they're not just being baptized. They're being officially connected to the institution that the monarchy leads. This christening must be done by authorized Church of England clergy. It must be recorded in official church records. And it must follow specific Church of England traditions and rules. A christening in any other church, or a christening that isn't properly recorded, doesn't count under these rules. We're just getting started with this investigation. If you want to understand the full story of what happened to Archie and Lilibet, make sure you're subscribed to Royal Daily Report. We break down complex royal protocols so you can understand what's really happening. Subscribe now and join thousands of viewers who trust us for the real story. Now these 3 rules: bloodline, official birth record, and Church of England christening, they were cold, precise, and unchanging. Let me emphasize that word, unchanging. These rules were designed to never bend, never adapt, never make exceptions. They were designed to protect the monarchy from exactly what it feared most: confusion. For decades, every royal birth followed these rules perfectly. No shortcuts, no exceptions, no drama. When Prince Charles was born, all 3 rules were followed. When Prince William was born, all 3 rules were followed. When Prince Harry was born, all 3 rules were followed. For over 80 years, from 1917 to the late 1990s, every single royal baby followed this exact same pattern. The system worked smoothly, like a well-oiled machine. Babies were born in royal hospitals with royal doctors. Official announcements came from the palace. Christenings happened at royal churches with Church of England bishops. Everything was documented, recorded, and filed away in royal archives. Until Archie was born, and the very first crack appeared in the royal record. Archie's birth in 2019 should have been simple. A joyful announcement, smiling parents, holding a new baby. A new member of the royal family welcomed into history. And at first, that's exactly how it looked to the outside world. The public saw happy photos. They read cheerful news reports. Everything seemed normal. But inside the legal paperwork, inside the one document meant to protect a royal child's identity forever, something strange happened. Something that had never happened before in modern royal history. Archie's birth certificate originally listed his mother as most legal documents would. It said Rachel Meghan Markle, Now, let me explain why this matters. Rachel is Meghan's legal first name. Most people don't know this, but she goes by her middle name, Meghan, in public. On legal documents, your full legal name must appear. So the birth certificate was correct. It was normal. Everything was as it should be. But later, the document was changed. Quietly, suddenly, without a clear public explanation. Meghan's full legal name was removed and replaced with one phrase: Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex. Now, let me explain why this is so unusual. Birth certificates are legal documents. In most countries, including the UK, you cannot just change a birth certificate whenever you want. Birth certificates are meant to be permanent records of fact. The facts of a birth don't change. The baby was born to specific parents on a specific date in a specific place. Those facts are locked in forever. You can make small corrections if there was a mistake, like if someone's name was spelled wrong. But you cannot just decide weeks later that you want the birth certificate to say something different. That's not how legal documents work. So when this change appeared, it set off alarm bells behind palace walls. People started asking questions. Who authorized this change? Why was it made? What legal basis allowed this to happen? Meghan claimed the palace forced the change. She said palace officials told her the birth certificate had to be changed to show her royal title instead of her legal name. Palace aides claimed the opposite. They said Meghan requested the change herself because she wanted to be identified by her royal title, not her birth name. Both sides denied what the other said. And no one, not the palace, not Meghan's representatives, not the hospital, not the government office that handles birth certificates, no one ever gave a final, agreed-upon answer that everyone accepted. To the general public, this might seem like a small thing, a name on a document. Who cares? But here's what mattered to the monarchy. A royal birth record had been altered. A document that is supposed to be permanent and unchangeable had been changed. And in the royal system, where everything is about tradition, procedure, and following exact protocols, this was a very big deal. The deeper we dig into this story, the more shocking it becomes. Stay with Royal Daily Report for the complete investigation. If you haven't subscribed yet, do it now. We're your source for royal stories that go beyond the headlines. Click subscribe and turn on all notifications. Once a royal record has doubt attached to it, that doubt becomes a crack. Think of it like a crack in a foundation. At first, it might seem small, just a tiny line in the concrete. But over time, that crack spreads. Water gets in, the foundation weakens, and eventually, the entire structure can collapse. This is exactly how the palace saw the birth certificate situation. It wasn't just about one document. It was about the principle. If one royal birth record could be altered after the fact, what would stop others from being altered? If the rules could be bent for one person, wouldn't everyone expect the rules to bend for them? The monarchy's power comes from consistency, from following the same rules, generation after generation, from never making exceptions. The moment you start making exceptions, people begin to question all the rules. And once people question the rules, the whole system of monarchy, which is based entirely on tradition and protocol, starts to fall apart. So the palace took note. This birth certificate issue was recorded, remembered, filed away as evidence of something important, that Harry and Meghan were not following royal protocol properly. By the time Lilibet was born in 2021, the palace had already learned something powerful. They had learned that silence can be louder than any statement. Sometimes, not saying anything sends a stronger message than making announcements. When Lilibet's birth came, the world expected a familiar scene. They expected what always happens when a royal baby is born. Royal doctors standing by in a major hospital. Official announcements from Buckingham Palace on fancy paper with royal seals. Photographers ready outside the hospital to document the newest member of the royal family. Crowds of people waiting with flowers and signs. But none of that happened. Instead, the birth of Harry and Meghan's daughter arrived from thousands of miles away, wrapped in a cheerful press release from sunny California. It was a modern announcement, a friendly message, a picture-perfect statement released through a press agent, just like a celebrity would do. And to many people, this seemed fine. After all, Harry and Meghan had left royal duties. They were living private lives in America. Why shouldn't they announce their daughter's birth their own way? But something was missing. Actually, someone was missing. The crown. There was no royal seal, that official stamp that the palace puts on important documents. There was no palace confirmation, no statement from Buckingham Palace saying, "We are pleased to announce the birth of ... There was no formal record entered into the royal registries. There was no appearance of any official royal witness. Let me explain what official royal witness means, because this is important. For centuries, when royal babies were born, specific people had to be present. These weren't just random witnesses. These were government officials, palace staff, sometimes even members of the government. Their job was to witness the birth and sign official documents confirming it happened. This tradition started because, in the past, there were cases of babies being smuggled into royal chambers. People would pretend their baby was the royal heir to steal the throne. So the monarchy created this rule. Official witnesses must be present at royal births. These witnesses sign documents. Those documents go into permanent royal archives. This creates an unbreakable chain of evidence. With Lilibet, there were no royal witnesses. No palace officials were present. No documents were signed by royal representatives. The birth happened in an American hospital with American doctors, and it was announced by a private press agent. To those who study royal protocol, and there are historians and experts who spend their entire careers studying these rules, this wasn't small. This was a signal, a quiet message delivered without a single spoken word. We are not claiming this child. This story gets even more complex, and we're going to break down every detail for you. Make sure you're subscribed to Royal Daily Report so you don't miss any part of this investigation. We're committed to bringing you the truth about the royal family. Hit subscribe now. For centuries, royal births had been treated almost like historical ceremonies. Let me paint a picture of what a traditional royal birth looks like, so you understand just how different Lilibet's birth was. First, weeks before the birth, the palace makes announcements. They tell the public which hospital will be used. They announce which doctors will attend. Security is arranged. Police set up barriers outside the hospital. The media sets up their cameras days in advance. When the mother goes into labor, palace officials are notified immediately. The Prime Minister is told. Other governments around the world are informed. This isn't just a baby being born. This is a potential future king or queen, or someone close to the throne. Official witnesses gather. In the past, government ministers would actually be in the room. These days, they wait nearby and sign documents immediately after the birth. Medical staff completes official forms that go both to the government and to the palace. The moment the baby is born, an official announcement is placed on an easel outside Buckingham Palace. This is a tradition that goes back centuries. A piece of paper on an easel tells the world that a royal baby has been born. Only then do the press releases go out. Within hours, the baby's information is entered into multiple official registries: the government's birth records, the palace's royal records, the Church of England's records. All of these documents are cross-referenced and stored in archives that will last forever. A few days later, the parents present the baby to the public. Photos are taken on the hospital steps. These become historical images that will be printed in books and shown in museums hundreds of years from now. Every detail matters. Where the child was born, who delivered them, which doctors signed off, how the crown recorded it. These steps weren't just tradition. They were the monarchy's way of saying, this child belongs to our history. This child is officially one of us. But with Lilibet, none of those steps were followed. To the public, it looked like a simple difference. One baby born in the UK, one baby born in America. Different countries, different systems, no big deal. But to the palace, it was much bigger than that. A royal child was introduced to the world without the crown's involvement. This made her the first Windsor descendant in modern times to enter the world outside the royal record. Windsor is the royal family's last name, by the way. When I say Windsor descendant, I mean someone with royal blood who is directly descended from the royal line. And inside Buckingham Palace, this wasn't viewed as an accident. It wasn't seen as just a different choice. It was viewed as a shift. A break from the pathway every royal baby had walked for over 100 years. The quiet rejection had begun. If the birth raised eyebrows, what happened next triggered real alarm. Months later, Meghan shared that Lilibet had been baptized in California. She spoke warmly about the ceremony. She talked about the joy of the day. She mentioned photos were taken. She described how meaningful it was for their family. And for most people hearing this, it sounded beautiful. A family celebrating their child's baptism. What could be wrong with that? But behind palace walls, the reaction was very different. Because for royal children, a baptism isn't just a family event. Let me repeat that. It isn't just a family event. It is one of the core requirements set by the 1917 letters patent that we talked about earlier. It's the moment the child is formally tied to the Church of England, to the crown, and to the centuries of tradition behind them. A royal christening is a legal marker just as important as a birth certificate. When a royal baby is christened, specific things must happen. The ceremony must be performed by a Church of England bishop or high-ranking clergy member. It must happen in a Church of England church or chapel. Specific prayers must be said. Specific water must be used, often water from the River Jordan, brought to England specifically for royal baptisms. During the ceremony, the baby is given godparents. These aren't just friends of the family. Royal godparents are chosen carefully. They're often other royals or important figures in British society, or people with strong connections to the Church of England. After the ceremony, official records are created. The baptism is recorded in church registries. Certificates are signed. Copies go to the palace archives. The event becomes part of the official historical record. But according to sources familiar with church records, Lilibet's California baptism was never registered with the Church of England. The Church of England has official registries going back hundreds of years. Every royal baptism is recorded in these books, but Lilibet's name doesn't appear in them. To the couple, it was a beautiful celebration. They had a ceremony. They baptized their daughter. To them, that should be enough. But to the monarchy, it was a ceremony that didn't exist, at least not in any official sense. We're revealing information that you won't hear anywhere else. This is the kind of deep investigation that Royal Daily Report is known for. If you appreciate this level of detail and truth, please subscribe to our channel. Click that button and join our community of informed viewers. Let me explain why this baptism issue is so serious. In the royal world, this is not a small issue. This is structural. Think of the royal system like a building. Each rule, each protocol, each tradition is like a support beam holding up that building. If you remove one beam, maybe the building stays standing. But if you keep removing beams, eventually the whole structure collapses. A child without a recognized Church of England christening is considered outside the official record. No matter how heartfelt the ceremony was, it doesn't matter if the parents had the most beautiful baptism in the world. It doesn't matter if it was meaningful and spiritual and perfect for their family. What matters to the monarchy is whether it follows their rules. And if it doesn't follow their rules, then in their eyes, it didn't happen. The child remains unbaptized according to royal protocol. Remember, the monarchy and the Church of England are connected. The king or queen is the head of both. So, a royal child who isn't baptized in the Church of England is a child who isn't fully connected to the institution their royal parent represents. Inside palace circles, this was viewed as an avoidable but irreversible mistake. The word irreversible is important here. It means it cannot be undone. Once the baptism happened in California, instead of in an official Church of England ceremony, that became the permanent record. You cannot go back and rebaptize a child. What's done is done. The crown saw it as a break in protocol. Not by the child. Lilibet was a baby. She didn't choose anything, but by the parents. Harry and Meghan made a choice to baptize their daughter their way, in their location, with their chosen clergy. And that choice had consequences. Instead of strengthening Lilibet's connection to the monarchy, the event did the opposite. It left her floating between two worlds, celebrated by her family in America, but unrecognized by the institution she was born into. While these cracks formed quietly, another problem was growing, something far more personal and far more painful. When Meghan married Harry, she didn't just join a family, she stepped into a global story. A royal story. She became part of something bigger than herself. And whether she wanted to or not, her children became part of that story too. But Harry and Meghan wanted something different. They wanted privacy. They wanted to protect their children from the media. They wanted to live normal lives away from palace pressure. And many people supported them in this. After all, shouldn't parents have the right to raise their children as they choose? But here's the problem. You cannot have it both ways. You cannot step away from royal duties, leave the country, reject royal protocol, and then expect your children to still be treated as full members of the royal family. The monarchy doesn't work that way. The monarchy is not just a family. It's an institution. It's a system with rules. And those rules exist for a reason. They've existed for over 100 years. They've survived wars, scandals, deaths, and divorces. The rules don't change just because someone wants them to. As cracks in the royal foundation widened around his children, Harry did something no one expected from a prince who swore he was done with the monarchy. He reached back. According to those familiar with the private conversations, these are people who were either in the room or directly told about these conversations by people who were there. Harry made late-night calls to the very institution he had walked away from. These were not strategic calls. They weren't polished, media-ready speeches. They were emotional, personal, pleading. Imagine a father late at night making desperate phone calls, trying to fix something that feels like it's falling apart, trying to protect his children's future. He begged the palace to reconsider, begged for Archie and Lilibet to be written into the royal record, begged for the titles he believed his children deserved by blood. By deserved by blood, I mean that Harry believed that because he is a prince, his children should automatically be prince and princess, because they have royal blood in their veins. To Harry, this wasn't about fame or branding. This wasn't about wanting his kids to be celebrities. This was about legacy, the one thing he thought he could protect, even after stepping down from royal duties. He believed he could leave royal duties behind and still raise royal heirs. Heirs means people who inherit something. In this case, Harry thought his children could inherit their royal identity even if he personally stepped away from royal work. But every time he tried to explain this, every time he made his case, he hit the same unmovable wall. This story is reaching its crucial turning point. Make sure you're subscribed to Royal Daily Report so you can follow this investigation to its conclusion and stay updated on all future royal revelations. Click subscribe. Now it's free and takes just 1 second. A palace aide allegedly responded to him with a sentence so cold, so direct, that it would echo in his mind for months. According to sources, the aide said, "This is not about emotion. This is about order, lineage, and the future of the crown." Let me break down what this sentence means, because it tells you everything about how the palace thinks. This is not about emotion. Translation: your feelings don't matter. How much you love your children doesn't matter. How sad or angry or desperate you feel doesn't matter. The monarchy doesn't make decisions based on emotions. This is about order. Translation: the rules are the rules. We have a system. That system has worked for over a century. We will not break that system for you or anyone else. Lineage: this word means family line, your ancestors and descendants. The royal lineage is the line of people who have been and will be kings and queens. The palace is saying, we must protect this line. We must make sure only the right people are officially part of it. The future of the crown. This is the big picture. The palace is saying, we're not thinking about right now. We're thinking about 50 years from now, 100 years from now, 500 years from now. The decisions we make today will affect the monarchy for centuries. And for Harry, that was the moment everything shifted. Because he realized something devastating. He wasn't just the prince who stepped away from royal life. He had become the prince whose children were being erased from it. Think about how that must have felt. To know that your children who have royal blood, who are grandchildren of a king, are being officially removed from royal history. Not because they did anything wrong, not because of who they are, but because of choices their parents made. Once the palace made its decision, it moved with extraordinary precision. This is something the monarchy is famous for. When they decide to act, they don't do it halfway. They don't do it they do it with complete thoroughness. No cameras, no press conferences, no dramatic royal statements, just quiet, steady action. The kind of action that happens behind closed doors, in offices, in legal departments. According to insiders, the consequences were not gentle. They were not temporary. They were not negotiable. Negotiable means open to discussion or compromise. When something is not negotiable, it means, this is final, take it or leave it. This was the full list of what Archie and Lilibet allegedly lost. I'm going to go through each item and explain what it actually means in real terms. No royal titles, no prince, no princess. They will go through life as Archie Mountbatten Windsor and Lilibet Mountbatten Windsor. Regular names, like you or me. When Prince William's children are called Prince George or Princess Charlotte, it means something. It opens doors. It commands respect. Archie and Lilibet will never have that. No ceremonial roles. Royal family members have official duties. They attend state dinners. They represent the country at events. They participate in ceremonies like trooping the color or the state opening of Parliament. Archie and Lilibet will never be asked to do any of this. They will never stand on the Buckingham Palace balcony as official royals. No official duties. Similar to ceremonial roles, but this includes things like charity work done in an official royal capacity. When Prince William visits a charity, it's an official royal visit. Media covers it. It helps the charity. Archie and Lilibet cannot do official royal charity work. No public honors. The royal family gives out honors knighthoods, medals, titles. They receive honors too. Royal members are given special medals just for being royal. They wear military uniforms even if they never served, just because of their position. Archie and Lilibet will never receive any of these honors. No place in the line of succession, names removed or blocked from the legal order. This is huge. The line of succession is the official list of who will be king or queen if something happens to the current monarch. Right now, Prince William is first, Prince George is second, and so on. Technically, Archie and Lilibet have royal blood, so they should be somewhere on this list. But if their names are removed or blocked, it means they're officially out. They will never be considered for the throne. No matter what happens, no crown-funded security. The royal family's security costs millions of pounds per year. It's paid for by the government, which means it's paid for by British taxpayers. Senior royals get full protection teams, bodyguards, secure transportation, everything. Archie and Lilibet will not receive any of this. Their protection is left entirely to their parents. Harry and Meghan must pay for all security themselves. This can cost hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars per year. No permanent record in royal archives. The royal archives are incredible. They're libraries and storage facilities that contain documents going back centuries. When a royal baby is born, information about them goes into these archives. Their birth records, photos, letters, everything. These archives will exist for hundreds of years. Historians will study them. Future generations will learn from them. But Archie and Lilibet's information is not being included. The books that outlast centuries will not include them. In the world of royalty, titles aren't just words. They are keys. They open doors to history. They tie a child to a lineage. They guarantee a place in a story larger than any individual. Think about it this way. If you're Prince George, people will know who you are in 200 years. Your face will be in history books. Your name will be remembered. You are part of the official story of Britain and the monarchy. But if you're just Archie Mountbatten Windsor, you're like anyone else. Your name might be forgotten. You're not guaranteed to be remembered by history. You're just a person who happened to have royal blood, but wasn't part of the official royal family. Without those keys, a royal child becomes ordinary. And that is exactly what the palace's final orders did. They stripped away everything that connected Archie and Lilibet to the centuries-old Windsor legacy, not as punishment. This is important to understand. The palace would say, this isn't about punishing children, not as revenge. The palace would say, this isn't about getting back at Harry and Meghan, but as protocol, simply following the rules that have always existed. The monarchy had acted, and nothing would be the same again. In the end, Buckingham Palace never shouted, never argued, never tried to out-talk the whirlwind of interviews, podcasts, or documentaries. And there have been many. Harry and Meghan have given multiple interviews. They made a Netflix documentary. Harry wrote a book. They've spoken publicly many times about their struggles with the royal family. The palace could have responded to each of these. They could have issued statements. They could have defended themselves. They could have argued back, but they didn't need to, because the monarchy has always understood its greatest power. Silence. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is not weakness. Silence is strategy. It's calculated. It's purposeful. It's powerful. Silence is the crown's way of saying everything without saying a word. Think about it. When someone attacks you and you respond, you give them attention. You validate their accusations by treating them as worthy of a response. You keep the story alive. But when someone attacks you and you say nothing, something different happens. People start to wonder, why aren't they responding? Are the accusations not worth responding to? Are they so confident in their position that they don't need to defend themselves? For years, the palace watched from a distance. Quiet, still, patient. It watched Meghan build her brand as a royal mother. It watched Harry struggle to bridge to worlds his royal past and his California present. It watched the documentaries, the public speeches, the palace criticisms, all without responding, because the monarchy knew something the rest of the world forgot. Power is not proven with noise. Power is proven with finality. And when the time came, the crown acted with the cold precision of an institution older than empires. Let me emphasize that phrase, older than empires. The British monarchy has existed for over 1,000 years. It has outlasted countless other governments and kingdoms. It has survived things that would destroy most institutions. It erased titles. It rewrote records. It removed names from history's path with a message that will echo louder than anything Harry and Meghan have ever said.